Hello, my marvellous sausages! Now, I've been maining my Warlock for a while, and I've always kind of avoided Stasis, to be honest, as a subclass. It's felt, well, underpowered, and it really wasn't visceral like Chaos Reach or Dawnblade, and I didn't have any real good exotics that synergized with it. Sorry, that word came courtesy of Wanky Gaming Words Incorporated. But I decided this season I wanted to change that, particularly because I love the new way that you can build your super up with all the aspects and the fragment, and basically that's the way it's going to be going forward as of Witch Queen. Now, the Artefact this season does have 3 new amazing mods that I'm using in this build as well. The Resonance Siphon, the Thermoclastic Strike, and Fire and Ice. These 3 are fantastic and really help this build kick bootum. Now, there's this build I've got. It's a Stasis Warlock, and I'm calling it the ShatterShard. I know, but everyone gives their builds exciting names, don't they? Maybe I was thinking of calling it the Pew Pew Lollipop Arse Kicker, but it just didn't scan. I've taken it into loads of different activities, and it just kicks ass. It shreds loads of turds, huge groups of them, just rips through them. Any kind of champion, unstoppable, barrier, and the dreaded overload, it just stops them in their tracks at legend level in the legend lost sectors. Gambit is a breeze with it. It's great fun on nightfalls. They're such good fun to do. And of course, strikes and anything. Bloody hell, I even took it into the Crucible and I found my kill-death rate ratio thing was a bit better than normal, i.e. not 0.005 seconds. Now, it all hinges on your Warlock Stasis Melee called Penumbral Blast. Now, charging that constantly, which in turn gives you these shards that then recharge the melee. Now, every time you freeze someone as well, it sends out these Stasis Seekers that freeze even more and then create even more shards for you to pick up. And then you can even adapt it for an overshield to give yourself a lot more protection when you're right in the thick of it. And it comes in so useful in activities like this week's Shattered Realm, where I tried to use it, where you constantly find yourself surrounded by all these bloody bum pipes trying to extract your gizzard and wear it as a jock strap. Another amazing thing that it does with these new mods is that you're stunning overload champions without having your mod attached. And because you've got your melee up basically all the time, you're stunning them at will, and it's fantastic because it kind of opens up your mod choices as well. If you're not particularly enjoy using the bows this season, or you don't even enjoy using swords, it completely takes that aspect of the game away, which is amazing. Right, so first of all, let's start with my Stasis Warlock build type thing. So my abilities, I've got a Healing Rift on. You can put Empowering on if you want to. I've got Strafe Glide. I've got my Penumbral Blast. Well, we can only have that, but that's incredibly important. And the Cold Snap grenades as well. So let's have a look at the aspects first of all. We've got Glacial Harvest. So when you freeze targets, stasis shards are created around the target, and the tougher the target, the more stasis shards you have. So in the stasis shards, you'll see how they factor in a moment. And then we've also got Ice Flare Bolts as well. So when you shatter a frozen target, it spawns Seekers that track and freeze other nearby targets as well. So let's go and have a look at our fragments now. So my first one, I've gone for Whisper of Hunger. Now there is a bit of a kick into your mobility and your recovery there, but we're not too worried about those, to be perfectly honest, for this build. Now, these Whisper of Hunger increases the melee energy gained from picking up stasis shards, so that's going to build up your melee attack first of all. And then we've got Whisper of Hedrons. Now, this dramatically increases your weapon stability, weapon aim assist, mobility, resilience, and recovery after freezing a target with stasis. This is a nice little buff to have, and you really do feel it when you're switching, particularly to rocket launchers and things like that. So this is a really good one to buff yourself after all the freezing you've been doing, a nice passive benefit. Then we've got Whisper of Refraction. Now, when you defeat slowed or frozen targets, it grants you class ability energy. Again, we've got it feeding our melee attack there. And then finally, we've gone for Whisper of Fissures. So increase the damage and size of the burst of the stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. It gives you basically a bigger area of effect. Now, this build is fantastic for dealing with champions. So much so, in fact, that it kind of negates you having 2 mods in your arms for dealing with them, because we're using some of the new Artefact mods here. So the first one I've got here is called Resonance Siphon. Now you can find this on your Artefact. You can see here it's just in the last but 1 column, and it costs 2 energy to slot in, and you gain stasis ability energy whenever you or a member of your fire team stuns a champion. So that's the first thing. But what we're going to be doing is using the second mod that I've got in here called Thermoclastic Strike. Solar and stasis melees disrupt combatants, stunning them, strong against overload champions. Refresh your melee ability whenever you or your member of your fire team stuns an overload champion. So you stun an overload champion and you get a refresh, but then what you're also going to get then is even more ability energy when you or a member of your team stuns that champion. So they go hand in hand with each other. But I hear you asking me, well, what point is that? Because if that refreshes it, where's that ability energy going? Aha! Well, let me show you, because I'm using my Claws of Ahamkara, and the main exotic perk of that is it gains an additional melee charge. So what happens is your first one gets charged, but then it also partially charges your second one, and then you pick up more stasis shards, and it's full already. It's fantastic for stunning. It's really, really good. Now, another mod I'm using from the Artefact is this one called Fire and Ice. It only costs 1 energy to slot it in, and if we take a look at the Artefact, you can see here that it's actually on the bottom rung there on the last but 1 column. Now, the reason why I'm using this one is that when you kill a champion, it spews out loads of solar and stasis wells that you can pick up. Now, not only do they give you ability energy, but they do have other uses, and you can convert them to charges with light, which is what I've done here. Where is that? There we go. It's on me chest there, elemental charge. All that means is that once you pick up any elemental wells, they get changed to charges with light. And I'm using those charges with light to do some high energy fire, which you can see up here on my helmet. There it is. Look, high energy fire. That basically increases your damage output of your weapons by 20%. So that's something incredibly useful too. Now, I'm also using some of the newer stasis mods as well. If you're in a fire team, of course, this is incredibly handy for them. It's called Power Preservation. Your super final blows create extra orbs of power for your allies, which is really nice. But what you can notice as well is that I've got a strength mod in here, because that again is going to kick up the recharge rate of my melee ability. In my arms, now I've got an overload bow mod in there, cheating, but we don't really need that in there at all, to be perfectly honest, because of our melees stunning overload champions. So you can just take that out and put in there whatever you want. If you're running with your fusion rifle, you can put a fusion rifle loader in there as well. But another one I've got here is defeating a combatant with a solar stasis melee charge creates an orb of power. That's thermoclastic blooming. Every time you kill a combatant with a solar or stasis melee, creates an orb of power. So this is fantastic for building up your super. And of course, there's another strength mod in there as well. I'm looking to create even more wells. So I've got my melee well maker. Powered melee combatant final blows spawn elemental wells matching your subclass energy type. This is brilliant. You basically whack them with that and it drops a stasis well for you, and then you pick that up and that's going to charge your ability once more. And also with this one called Absolution, because I'm generating orbs with thermoclastic bloom, when I go and pick that up, it'll reduce all my ability cooldowns as well. So the orbs of power are going to be very important. Now, weapons wise, we're a lot freer here, and you can run kind of whatever you want to. I've taken to running my Monte Carlo. Now, if you don't have this, it's a fantastic auto rifle, and if you want to run anti-barrier, then this is going to obviously run with that. But what's great about it, it's got 2 things. First of all, we've got the Monte Carlo method. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown again and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. So sometimes you hear a little tinkle noise and it fills your melee up straight away. So this build, you can see, is completely melee focused, and you've never got it down, really. It's constantly with you. And then you've got something called Markov Chain as well. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. And as you're going to be doing so many melees, you're going to be boosting the power up of your Monte Carlo too. Just to show you how good this baby is, here I am running the Legend Lost sector today as K1 Logistics. I haven't got any mods in my weapons. Even though there's barrier champions in here and overload champions in here, I don't need them because my build, the shade ShatterShard pew pew lollipop thing, is just destroying everything. Freezing them holds them off your back, keeps them off your back. Occasionally you might have a cadence problem where you're freezing and getting the shields pop, but usually you're just hammering them so quick. The overload champions simply don't stand a chance, and even in big open air arenas like at the end of this Legend Lost sector, I just found it particularly easy, to be honest with you, and loads of fun. I ran the Presage mission. Now, I haven't run that in ages. And there's the middle section, you know, which is that really cool battle in the hangar where you're getting hit from the left and from the right. You got Screebs, you got Abominations. It just dealt with them so well. They was keeping the Screebs at bay. The actual melee attack is so powerful. And because you've got the Whisper of Fisher's fragment on, it just creates these massive blasts. You can see them just killing because all the enemies just clump together and you're sorting them right out. So if you haven't done a Stasis build before, I'd recommend you give this one a try and you're going to get addicted. It's great fun. And I think I'm going to try another one as well, probably using a different aspect, and that's got to be that one called the Bleak Watcher. I've seen so many brilliant builds with that, and I just can't wait to have a go with it myself, and then I'll report back to you my marvellous sausages. Now, don't forget, if you did like the video, a like is so important. Oh, and give me a comment below as well on anything you're doing with your Stasis builds that you find really good and a bit arse-kicky. Don't forget to subscribe as well, and ring that notification bell, then you'll know when I splat my next info burp out onto the interwebs. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again very soon. Sausage out.